Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Home Tech Podcast. Jason Griffin here, so happy to have you with us. I am joined, as always, by my partner, Seth Johnson. Seth, how's it going?
Good, man. Do you survive April Fools?
I did. I managed not to fall for anything too major, so I think I came out all right.
Unlike a lot of people who texted me throughout the week saying, "Oh my God, Jason's leaving the show."
Yeah, there was a lot of them going around. We've got a number of them here. I know we had a little fun last week with a joke of our own, and we, if you haven't gone back and listened, we did plug what I thought was a pretty good one by our friend Alex Capicilatro and the team over there at Josh AI. Thought that was pretty fun.
Yep, that was a pretty good one. Not sure we can talk about it on the show, but if you want to check the show notes out from last week.
This is a family show. Yeah, we'll keep it that way.
They had an interesting, that was an acronym for something. I'll have to go look it up. But it was Smart Home Integration Technologies.
Smart Home Integrated Technologies. Yeah. And so if you're listening, you can reverse engineer that.
Right. Think about it. It makes sense. And he's got some pretty funny videos, and you can experience it for yourself and all sorts of stuff. It's got a lot of puns on the page, and I thought it was pretty good. But there were a few other ones that floated around. Most notably, I think, was the Google Gnome joke that Google put out, which I thought was hilarious. As everybody knows, Google announced Google Home, the little air freshener looking device, a couple of weeks ago, I guess, a couple of months ago. Geez. And they came out with like a little parody commercial of it called Google Gnome, and it looks like the Google Home, only it has like the red hat and the blue vest that you would expect to see on a garden gnome, and it lives outside and only does garden things, which I thought was hilarious.
It was a fun one.
Yep,
yeah,
that was pretty good.
No, it was good. And in the video, we'll include a link. I don't know if we'll do the individual videos, but at the very least, we'll include a link to a CE Pro article that aggregated that one, as well as a couple of other ones that I thought were pretty good. There was the Petlexa, so the Amazon Echo that can speak, dog or cat. I think they even had a hamster on there with a Fitbit.
Yeah, the hamster counting steps of a hamster on a hamster wheel. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
good
that
idea.
Was a fun one. And honestly, my personal favorite was this hub one, just like this metal, cylindrical, kind of looks like a nest, but it's just a solid metal device, purportedly, and no ports at all, right? They did away with the ports just to make it really easy to set up. Even the power
port.
Yeah, it was good. That one's about a 2-minute video, so those are a lot of fun. Definitely would encourage you to go check that out. We'll have a link to that CE Pro article in our show notes at HomeTech.fm/156.
I think my favorite part of the hub video was them showing the app, and it had like a little green dot, and it said your hub is connected, but it's not really connected because it doesn't even have power. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. It was a good parody.
It's good. There's kind of a good little backstory behind it on CE Pro as well. So definitely go check that out. But yeah, let's get into the show here. Actually, Seth, before we do, there was one that I think you told me you wanted to touch on because people, I don't know if the timing was intentional or not, but people kept thinking that this was an April Fool's joke, and in fact, it wasn't.
It was totally not an April Fool's joke. We just kind of released it around April Fool's because it was a fun thing. So the company I work for, Blackwire Designs, we decided to kind of put together an emoji pack for Control4, and it features over 1,400 icons, somewhere around like 1,430 icons for Control4 systems to integrate and put on their touchscreens and iOS devices and all that good thing. I had a lot of fun making it, and I had a lot of fun making the product page actually. So if you're on I disabled it for mobile phones. I guess I could enable it for mobile, but if you're on a browser on a desktop, go check out the product page and take a look at it because it's probably the most fun thing I've ever done.
Festive.
Yes, festive is a good word for it.
Yeah, that looks like a fun project. I'm glad to see that you get to have a little bit of fun at your work. That's always a good thing. And so yeah, we'll have people go check that out. I gotta say, yeah, I gotta say, I can't fault people for thinking that was an April Fool's joke.
Well, you know what? What was the funniest thing was within hours of us launching that, I got a picture from someone in China who had mocked up their entire Control4 interface with those emoji, and it had like Chinese lettering and everything. And you forget like how popular in the Asian markets, how popular emoji are. I mean, you absolutely don't think about it. Like that's where these things came from, and
Right.
they are super popular over there. So it was, I was like, oh, I forgot about China, but here we are. And within hours of us launching it, we had that up and going, which was really funny.
That is funny. That is funny. You're making a global impact, Seth.
Yeah. The first global product I have, huh?
Did he use the sexy time emoji in the picture he sent you?
I didn't see it on his, although that was probably the funniest thing I think to slip by. Well, I don't think it slipped by Julie over at CE Pro. She had a good time with us writing that article, so
I'm sure
that was a lot of fun.
We'll see if people catch on to that. Go take a look again at that product page and shoot us a tweet at HomeTech Podcast. If you're in on the joke, we'll have some fun with that. But let's jump in here. We've got another show, Seth, where it's just going to be you and me. I'm kicking around a number of news stories. It was a fairly busy week. We're going to talk about some Ecobee 4 and Alexa stuff, and those two are sort of tied together. There's a number of stories related to over-the-top streaming TV. That's been a recurring theme on our show here lately, and this week will be no exception. That's a very busy segment of the market, and so we're really seeing stories come across on a regular basis about that, and we're going to touch on that here tonight. We've got yet another entrance as well into the Mesh Wi-Fi game, so another area of the market that's really seen a lot of development, and so we're going to kick around all those stories. But before we do that, we wanted to send a quick thanks to Win Walker, and Win is a new patron who came on at the $5 a month level. Win, we really, really appreciate your support of the show. If you're listening and you want to learn a little bit more about how you can support our efforts here at the HomeTech Podcast, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support. Once again, that's HomeTech.fm/support, and that is where you can learn about our Patreon page and how you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. And I also want to quickly mention that even if you come on just at that $1 a month level, that'll get you access to our private Slack channel, which has turned into a really nice community of people who are very passionate about the smart home, and we really have a lot of fun in there. You hear us refer to that often. It's called The Hub, and that is a private Slack channel, again, that even at that $1 a month level, we'll shoot you an invite to, and so that's a really nice community, and we'd encourage more people to go check that out. So HomeTech.fm/support.
Absolutely. I want to say my thanks as well to Win and a couple of the other guys we had come on this week at the $1 level. Thank you very much for supporting the show. You make this possible. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump in here. I teased all these stories, and the first one we want to start with is Ecobee 4. Now, this is a thermostat that I think everyone who listens to the show more or less is going to be familiar with. Great product. I have the Ecobee 3 at my house, and I'm a really big fan of it. And it looks like the Ecobee 4, which is not, this is early. It's rumored. Looks pretty likely like they're going to come out with it in the not so distant future. This originally surfaced when actually the Apple page that has all of their HomeKit accessories, somebody inadvertently, presumably, put up Ecobee 4 mentioned there and said that it had been announced when in fact it hadn't. But here we are, and looks like it's coming soon. Dave Zatz over at Zatz Not Funny had some interesting insights about potential Alexa integration.
Yeah, this is fascinating. He actually trolls the FCC filings and finds those product shots of where the labels would go on the back of these devices. And when you do, you never get to see the front of the devices, but you get to see the back where those little legal writing things are. And on the back, on this thermostat, there is a speaker, or what looks to be a speaker. And what Dave has evidently found out through some sources, he said he was given some intel and indicating tighter Ecobee/Alexa voice integration, which I'm going to have to bleep myself, but that's what the article says.
It was you this time. It wasn't me. I am probably the biggest offender in the podcast universe of using the A word.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and say it. We don't care. But so so this is actually interesting to think about, having a thermostat on the wall that is integrated with the Echo. It's basically an Amazon Echo, maybe a Dot or one of the smaller devices, not the full Echo tube, but this gives you the ability to yell at the area around, depending on how well this works. And this would be like your thermostat responding to you. And actually it's funny, you could actually play music on this. Like you could tell it so and so play me some music, and it'll start playing some music because this is how this is integrated now. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I know all the hi-fi audio listeners in our audience are cringing a little bit when you say that, and just imagining what the audio experience would be out of an Ecobee thermostat, streaming your favorite Pandora or Spotify station or whatever you listen to. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to a convenience thing. We've talked about that before. That's one of the reasons that Sonos, who incidentally, I think the Playbase just started shipping, I believe, if I read that correctly. They've for a long time, they were the king of the hill when it came to anything, quote unquote, wireless audio in the house. And they've, I think, lost some ground to companies like Amazon with the Echo. And really the conversation that we've had before is the fact that, the Echo may not be able to hold a candle to something like a Sonos Play 5 in terms of audio quality, or even a Play 3, most likely. And ignoring the obvious consideration of price points, and that is certainly a factor for most people. But I think what it comes down to is the convenience and the ease of use. And with a Sonos system, for really, I think still now you're largely dependent on an app, and just having the ability to quickly call for music and have it play is something that people really value. And I think whether you like it or not, or agree with it or not, a lot of people will prioritize that convenience over audio quality. So I agree. I mean, there's interesting possibilities there. Also, the fact that, if you're going to buy a smart thermostat anyways, oftentimes thermostats live in a hallway, or maybe an odd section of the house where there's not perhaps a great place for an Echo Dot to be installed. And so having that ability to have Alexa right there in the hallway, basically an extension of it, is pretty valuable, especially if you're planning to buy a smart thermostat anyways.
Right. And I think this is, man, if you take a step back and look at what the smart home will look like with this kind of device getting the Amazon Alexa platform put on it, you would just need a thermostat in one of these Sonos Playbases for your TV, and you could just yell into the air and have music. Eventually, I mean, we're talking eventually, because there is an integration between Amazon and Sonos that's up and coming.
Yep. Yeah.
You'll be able to yell into the air and have decent music coming out of the Sonos. That could be really cool.
Yep. And I think that, that's the other interesting aspect of the story to me is, and yet another thing that we've talked about numerous times, but the support of third-party manufacturing from Amazon, the encouragement that they're giving to third-party device makers to build that functionality right in, I think is smart. It makes business sense for Amazon to have that presence extended. There was another story, in fact, that I saw this week on Digital Trends about Alexa-enabled, it's called the Clarity speaker. Kind of a funky looking thing. I'm not a huge fan of the form factor personally, but take a look at it. We'll include a link in our show notes. And it is, what's kind of unique about it is also got a built-in touchscreen. So picture maybe like a Play 3, very different shape, but that same sort of form factor, and that the speaker itself is part of the unit, and then a touch screen in the middle of it, and Alexa built in. And I believe, if I read this story correctly, I think this also has Google Assistant built into it. And so kind of a flexible device in that sense. And again, I think it comes down to what you're talking about, the smart home of the future. Maybe you've got a lot of this functionality just built into the devices around you. It's not necessarily a purpose-built device like the Echo that we're going to see in the home 5 or 10 years from now.
I had to go look at this little touchscreen thing. This is, I don't think it's attractive at all. This is kind of,
it's a
like
little
half a
bit
football, like a not a football, but like a rugby
yeah.
ball. Like, oh my gosh.
It does look like early 2000s to me. Like they were kind of, I don't know what they were going for. I'm not a huge fan of the form factor, like I said, but who knows? There may be a market for it. I think, like I said, the takeaway of the story for me is just that continued proliferation of technologies like Alexa being built into a variety of different devices.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what that looks like at CES next year. Really? I mean, everybody kind of announced it last year, and I think you're going to see a ton of devices with it actually working this next year.
And you're going to have a lot of A words to bleep out in post-production.
Oh, yeah. Alexa.
Never gets old, does it?
Nope.
All right, well, let's move on here. Another story, actually, Dave Zatz, filling up the airwaves on Home Tech here this week, had a story here about TiVo Cloud DVR, and I think this was a compelling story to you, Seth. I'm going to let you jump in here because I know you had you had done a little bit of research on this one and had a few thoughts to share.
Right. Well, this is interesting. We've heard about this upcoming TiVo Maverick for a while. This thing was rumored to be around maybe a month ago. I don't know if we talked about it, but we may have. I know it definitely hit our show note prep that we look at every week and see what's happened. And it may not have made the cut because it was may have been just a rumor that didn't have anything behind it. But now it looks like we're a lot closer. We've seen pictures of it. There are definitely marketing images of it. And it's like a little small, a little bit bigger than an Apple TV, a little small device with TiVo branding on it. And there is no storage inside of it. So no internal storage. And it'll have a built-in 2-tuner over-the-air tuner, kind of like a Tableau, and the cloud storage that's available. You'll have 20 gigabytes online, so everything you record gets encoded and sent up to the cloud somewhere in TiVo servers, and you'll be able to watch it anywhere you have Wi-Fi. So if you have a web browser open to TiVo Online, you can watch it there. You can watch it on your iOS and Android apps, and you can enjoy it. What's funny is you can enjoy it on other TVs if you have an Amazon Fire or TV or Amazon Fire Stick, which is kind of cool. Like if you're on the road a lot and you want to see what's been recorded back at the house, you could just bring an Amazon Fire Stick along with you and have a TiVo where you are, which is kind of neat.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah. This is launching. Looks like it's kind of a slow rollout. It's going to be San Francisco area only. It looks like some other areas in California as well. And I guess it might be rolling out nationally. It'd have to roll out nationally in the future. But it seems like a pretty cool device.
Yeah, it is a unique offering, and I think to me it speaks to the future of TV, where all of this is going. It's so app heavy, and I think the cloud DVR is a great example of the power that enables. I think your example of, hey, I'm going on the road, and you can go buy a dirt cheap Amazon TV, the Fire Stick or whatever they're calling it these days, and plug that into the I guess the TV in your hotel room, and theoretically there you go, you've got your DVR right there. So that's pretty cool. Neat product. I think that the biggest competition to me, it seems like, for these sort of products is really the more pure cloud-based solutions. YouTube TV, for example, I think just went live, if I'm understanding correctly, like this week. I know we teased that when the stories first surfaced, maybe a couple of weeks ago. And that's a compelling offering, if nothing else, just for the name behind it. There's a lot of horsepower there, clearly with the YouTube brand, and I think it'll be I'd be surprised to not see that stick around for the long haul and change and adapt and grow over time. So that's a pretty compelling offering. Even Verizon, actually, this week, there was another story about, I can't remember who we even talked about last week. I think it was Comcast.
Yeah.
And now,
it was Xfinity.
Xfinity Stream, I believe, or sort of an iteration of that. Now you've got rumors of Verizon planning a service that purportedly is going to be a direct competitor to an offering like a DirecTV Now or Sling TV. The original reporting on this one came from Bloomberg, and it looks like Verizon is hoping to launch a service this summer. So presumably, the summer of 2017. So that's within a handful of months from now, we may see something from Verizon. Dozens of channels is what the story quotes. And it says it's going to be priced, also quoting here, similarly to DirecTV Now or Sling TV. Those can range anywhere from, between the two services, those can range anywhere from $20 to $70 a month. So hard to say exactly what Verizon is going to be targeting with that, or again, to come full circle, if that includes some sort of DVR, cloud DVR functionality. Who knows? The details aren't really there, but I think this really is, we're starting to see a lot of momentum in this over-the-top streaming TV space, and I think it's fascinating to watch.
Absolutely. A little bit of live feedback here. A.W. Rayner in the IRC chat has posted a link there to a really good rundown of YouTube TV's channel lineup comparing to other packages like Sling TV, the DirecTV Now, PlayStation View, and what you get.
Very cool.
What the bang for the buck is. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, all these packages are starting around that $35 mark. It looks like Verizon's goes up to $70, but this is really cool. A good resource to have, and good resource to keep in the back pocket. Hopefully they keep it updated, because this is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great find. I think, in fact, it might have even just been last week I was talking about somebody should really take some time and put together that sort of resource that compares these different offerings, because there are, so many of them now that it's getting harder and harder to keep track.
Yeah, well, somebody did.
There you go.
Yeah,
thanks.
That's a lot of time. I can only imagine what it takes to put something like that together, because they've done some digging and found out if you need the SEC Sports Network, it is available on certain packages on, let's see, the Sling TV package. So it tells you what exactly the packages that you need, and then you can compare the prices down at the bottom. Thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I still do think that is a barrier to entry for a lot of people, because it does take a little bit of motivation. We've gotten in the habit, I think, over our lifetimes of just getting TV from the the big providers and not really having to spend a lot of time thinking about what we're getting necessarily, because it's kind of like they were the only show in town for a really long time, and so you just you did have to go through and sort of pick your packages. But this is a whole different thing, because you're really comparing very different offerings, and they have compatibility with different hardware, different price points, totally different channel lineup. So it's a lot to factor in. And I think if you think about it, you've got people buying TV during a very busy time of their life, typically when they're moving homes or moving into maybe a new apartment or something. And it can be difficult to carve out time to make that decision. And then if you're like me, you move into the house and you're locked into a 2-year contract with DirecTV, and they charge you exorbitant amounts for canceling that. And I think those are the business practices that all of this over the top content and momentum will hopefully bring some pressure to these bigger providers to change some of their business practices.
Yeah, I think probably the only reason you have DirecTV is the NFL. And now you can just get that on Amazon, right?
That's it. Yeah, it was a factor. I can't lie. The NFL package is what you're alluding to there. Speaking of that specifically in the business practices of DirecTV providers, I got that NFL package included for free for the first year. And then when year 2 came around, so I'm actually on a DirecTV contract from my previous residence. And when year 2 came around and I did the math on the NFL package, I actually hadn't realized before how expensive that is. I mean, it was like $40 or $50 a month, I think, to have that. And so I have since opted out of that. Not quite that valuable to me. But like you were alluding to, Seth, Amazon is now getting into NFL streaming. And I feel like this is one of those last frontiers for streaming TV is live sports. And as soon as we start to see more streaming options become available for live sporting events, to me, that is really going to represent a turning point. This is, I should put the one caveat on it, this is for Thursday night football, as I understand it. $50 million deal. And so we're not talking about Sunday or prime time necessarily. Thursday night football is, I think, probably fairly popular. I try to watch it personally if I can, but yeah, I don't think it can hold a candle to the ratings and the value of having, Sunday afternoon or even Sunday evening football streaming rights. I think that'll be really where we start to see some interest.
I like the pricing on this. It's included with your Amazon Prime membership, which is only $99 a year. And with that, you get a ton of stuff, including like free shipping, which is what we use it for, to buy just about everything off Amazon that we possibly can. And there's some cloud storage stuff. I think we use the videos too. Yeah, we use Amazon Video, which is like you get free movies that are mostly the same movies I think that are on Hulu. So if you get that, you get free movies. A lot of people don't know that, but I find that is a great value, even at $99 a year.
Yeah. Amazon Prime really is a good deal, and like you said, this is just one of those little add-ons that Amazon Prime users, I'm one as well, will see, and hey, that's just icing on the cake. Although, for me, it's not a huge deal as somebody who's going to have the ability to watch Thursday night on my exorbitantly expensive DirecTV package.
That's why people go to sports bars and drink, Jason.
So, anyways, that was all we had here for the TV world. It's been a busy couple of weeks there, and so we'll look forward to following that topic and sharing more stories as they come along. Moving right along here, like I teased at the beginning of the show, we have yet another entrant into the Mesh Wi-Fi game, and this is from a company called Ingenious, which I'm sure we've got a lot of professionals who listen to the show, and they're going to be very familiar with that brand. I don't know, Seth, how much of a consumer presence Ingenious has. I may be totally off. They might be very popular in certain markets. I'm not sure, but I've always thought of them as more of a professionally installed type of product, which is why I was surprised to see that they are very competitively priced on this new, what they are calling Mesh home Wi-Fi system. 3-pack available through authorized distributors for an MSRP of $269, and then individual add-on extension modules or whatever you want to call them available for an MSRP of $99. So very competitive, even with a product like an Eero, for example. And
as Greg is pointing out in the chat room, and I know this too, Ingenious, they're a massive, what do they call, not OEM, but yeah, I guess that's what it is. They just rebrand what they have and stick, the guts in a different package. So a lot of times,
they're manufacturing stuff that other companies are putting their brand on. Am I understanding? Okay.
Yeah, you'll run into it quite every now and then. You'll run into it, and the way you can tell sometimes is they forget to change the radio chip manufacturer, MAC address or something. I don't know. Some of these Wi-Fi tools can tell what the manufacturer is, and that's where you see it.
Yeah. Got it. I actually didn't know that about them. I have worked with their products in the past, and if I recall correctly, had pretty good results. That was a number of years ago at a company I was working for. But I think the takeaway here is, again, just this explosion of mesh Wi-Fi systems that we've seen. And I guess I should be careful about using the word explosion, given the fact that Samsung entered last week. We talked about them. And I think they had it right on their spec sheet, right, Seth? This does not catch on fire.
Right. It's not an exploding hub.
But anyways, gosh, it's a really hot category right now. And I see why. There's a lot of value in having really good Wi-Fi in the home. We all know that. And the fact that you can now go out for a few $100s and get a really nice system that'll distribute that to all the corners of your house. I think they were saying the 3-pack, if I was reading the story correctly, could cover about 4,500 square feet is what they were advertising, which is a pretty large home. I think for most people that's going to cover you. Obviously, there's caveats to that depending on what your environment's like and what the walls are made of, but that's still pretty good. 4,500 square feet for under $300.
Right. That's in mesh networking world. That's pretty good. I'm still running that Ubiquiti Amplify, and having pretty good. You know what's funny is I plugged in the cube part of it and then unplugged the little paddle things that you're supposed to plug in around the house, and they're sitting to the left of me over here. I've never plugged them back in, and I really haven't noticed a difference. Like the little cube thing covers my 1,600 square foot house perfectly fine. There's no dead spots.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you haven't seen a huge difference, but like you said, if you're 1,600 square feet,
right? Yeah. Well, what's cool is I can go every day we take a walk, so we like grab the baby, throw in a stroller, and go walking down the street and back. And now, like 3 homes down, I can get onto my Wi-Fi and open up the garage door, which in the past I hadn't been able to do that, but this time with this particular router, I can. I do notice that. It does have a longer range outside of the house, mostly due to what the house is made out of and where the router is in the house. But I thought that was funny. Three houses down, I can open up the garage door, which is further than the garage door opener actually works in the car.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we've got Chris in the chat room mentioning Unify, which is, of course, the same manufacturer that does the Amplify product that you were just talking about. And
much harder
we
to
had
set
them
up.
on. Yeah, definitely a professional product, but I know it's very widely used, and I tend to hear very good things about it, and that's another great example of the popularity of this category now. I know we had his name is escaping me right now, but a gentleman from Ubiquiti come on the show when the Amplify product first came out, and we had a conversation about it really being their first foray into the consumer space, and companies are clearly latching on to the Mesh Wi-Fi thing like crazy. I don't know how many more of these we can possibly expect to see. It feels like there's so many of them out there now. It's got to be getting pretty saturated and hard for these companies to stand out.
I think it's probably going to be the new norm is these types of Wi-Fi systems. You're not going to go buy a non 3-pack Wi-Fi system in the future. I think you'll get these 3 little gizmos to plug in around your house and be set for a 4,500 square foot house. I think that's going to be the new norm.
Indeed. Well, getting a couple of comments in the chat room here that the stream is having a little bit of difficulty. So if you're listening live and you're having problems with that, we apologize. But as it turns out, we're actually done here. We're going to wrap up our show for the evening. Kind of a quick one. We appreciate everybody tuning in. I want to thank everybody, of course, as well, who is listening non-live in your podcast app of choice. We really, really appreciate you tuning into the show. We'll plug it one more time. If you enjoy what we're doing here and want to contribute and help us plug along and continue to produce episodes just like this one, then head on over to HomeTech.fm/support. Once again, that's HomeTech.fm/support. Also, we'd welcome any feedback or comments if you want to connect with us over on Twitter at HomeTech Podcast. So thanks again for listening.
Absolutely. With that, I guess we'll wrap up. Jason, talk to you next week.
You got it. Sounds good, Seth. Take care.